Meditation is the focus of your attention. My attention is my most valuable asset. So how I direct that attention is very important to me. I'll be talking about these 6 different forms of meditation, just giving a very brief introduction to each and a quick how-to. But also know that saying you meditate is kind of like saying you exercise. There's so many different ways to meditate and so many different benefits. And just know that just like your exercise journey is unique to you, most likely your meditation journey will also be unique to you. Some benefits of meditation, for me, my personal favorite is you get better at directing your attention since it's something you're practicing. A lot of people report being more present, and that's something that I sometimes encounter as well. Some people report an inner calmness, and equanimity is common. Equanimity is simply composure under difficult circumstances. You might have better emotional health. You might have better emotional resilience, or just better resilience, period. Some people report being more patient. For me personally, one of my favorite things, I had been doing a form of meditation for several months, and I just liked the version of me that was showing up to situations. That was something I really liked. Directed focus is a very easy form of meditation to start with. Directing focus is simply directing your focus to one singular thing. That could be as simple as lighting a candle and just staring at the candle flame, and really just directing your focus on that flame. Another very common one is people direct their focus to their breath, breathing in and breathing out, just a bodily function. You could also direct your focus at your heart. And I don't mean the concept of heart, I mean your actual organ, the heart itself, just directing your focus towards that. Some people actually go with a whole body scan. So you can direct your focus to your body and just start noticing different things that show up. Maybe you've got a pain in your neck somewhere, and so you direct your focus to that issue in your neck for a while. And then maybe something else shows up. While you're focusing on that, you notice, oh, my shoulder's feeling a little tweaky, and so you direct your focus there. And then maybe your mind wanders and goes, wow, this other shoulder feels terrific. And so you direct your focus towards the terrific feeling shoulder. Whatever it is for you, just scanning your body is a great way to direct your focus. But you can really direct your focus to any singular thing, and that's one form of meditation. Mind clearing. This one, easier said than done for me. Perhaps some of you are advanced meditators and can share in the comments some strategies. But mind clearing is actually trying to let go of thoughts. Some people say that meditation is not thinking with your eyes closed. But for me, it often feels that way. It just feels like I have my eyes closed and sure enough, I'm thinking. So this mind clearing technique is to try to just let go of thoughts. And if your mind is anything like mine, thoughts keep coming in quite quickly too. This turns out to be one of my favorite forms of meditation. One thing that had worked for me is I imagine I'm in a movie theater and a scene in a movie happens, and so that's kind of like a thought coming into your mind. And when you realize you're thinking, so you'll be thinking for a while and then you realize, oh wait, I'm thinking, you just shut off that scene in the movie and you darken the screen and you allow yourself to just not judge, not just be in the moment, and you try to clear your mind. And if you're like me at all, something else will come into your mind, and that's okay. You just let that keep happening. But the goal here is to quickly let go of the thought. You don't have to judge the thought. You don't have to be like, darn it, I'm failing. You just let go of it and try to clear your mind. And it does turn out that the more often you do this, the better you get at it, of course, like anything. But I want to set expectations. This one's easier said than done for a lot of us. I know I'm not the only one who has a tough time clearing their mind. Guided meditation is where usually someone else guides you through some sort of mind-relaxing dialogue or monologue, I guess it would be. But you can certainly do this yourself, and I prefer a guided meditation for myself. For example, you can guide yourself. Here's a really quick one for relaxing your mind. You can lay down and imagine you're pulling an imaginary blanket slowly up your body. And as you pull this imaginary blanket, say over your feet, you allow your feet to completely relax. And then you inch that blanket up more above your shins, and you just feel your shins and calves and feet relaxing. And as you keep pulling that blanket up, you just feel more comfortable and more relaxed. And you can do that all the way up till your blanket is covering almost your entire body, and you just feel your entire body relax. And as you're doing that, hopefully your mind is also relaxing. So that's just one self-guided meditation. Or you can go onto YouTube and look at thousands, or probably tens of thousands of different videos on guided meditation where someone else can walk you through just focusing on their voice and whatever their monologue is. One thing else I'll say about guided meditation, one reason it's near and dear to my heart is once you're in a more relaxed meditative state, that's a great place, that's a great time to put in suggestions. And these are just suggestions of things you want in your life, not things you don't want. These are things you do want. For instance, let's say that you're not eating the best food and you know you could be doing a better job. Instead of thinking, oh, I don't want to eat well, I don't want to keep eating junk food, you would just put, I'm enjoying eating healthier foods. And that suggestion is something that has to sit right with you. If it's a suggestion that is not right for you, don't bother with it. If someone else is giving you a suggestion and you don't like it, this is not the time to put a suggestion in your mind. Because when you're in a relaxed state, a state of hypnosis is just simply a relaxed state of your mind, you're a little more open to suggestions. So you want to pick suggestions that if they were to come true, they'd be wonderful for you. So really focusing on things that you do want. And if you say things you don't want, often your brain just hears junk food, and so then your brain is like, oh, let's go get some junk food. So if you focus on the things you don't want, sometimes you're attracted to those things that you claim you don't want. So instead, try to shift your mind to what you do want, which in this case would be healthier food, or maybe you have some specific foods, or whatever your suggestion is. For example, for me, I'm just very grateful to be healthy and enjoying my day-to-day experience. So a lot of my suggestions are simply around how much I'm enjoying being healthy and how much I enjoy the present moment. Those are wonderful suggestions that if they're true for me in that given day, I love it. So those suggestions are something that agree with my fundamental values and that I enjoy having come to fruition. Transcendental meditation. This sounds incredible, right? And it is. It's also very simple to get started. Transcendental meditation is a whole field, but to get started, all you have to do is repeat a word over and over and over. This word doesn't even have to be a real word. It could be something you like the sound of. I like the sound of Muwanda, so I could just say Muwanda over and over. Or a phrase, you just say it over and over and over in your mind. And again, there's a lot more to transcendental meditation, but that's the core of getting started, is just repeating something over and over. It could be a mantra, a phrase, a word, a nonsense word, anything you want. Visualization might be kind of getting out of what some people think of as meditation, but for me it's definitely in the realm of meditation. Visualization is imagining something that you want to transpire. And what I love about visualization is you can give yourself the feelings that you think you might have. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're in college and you're having a tough time focusing on exams and you're not doing so well in your exams, but you are studying for them very hard. But for whatever reason, you're not doing a great job on the tests. Well, one thing that some people might really focus on is visualizing how excited they're going to be at graduation. So this is kind of a far removed future point, studying for a test and visualizing being pretty far away from that. Those seem like disconnected events, but bear with me. So if you imagine, let's say graduating is important to you. You visualize yourself walking at graduation and you see your parents in the audience and you see your friends cheering you on. You see some professor handing you your degree and shaking your hand. And let's say for whatever reason, all of those elements appeal to you. And so as you visualize them, you also imagine, well, how might I feel in that moment? my gosh, just talking about this, I'm getting kind of excited. I'm kind of feeling giddy. And so you can just give yourself that feeling. Imagine that situation, and boom, these feelings come up inside you. And that way you're not holding those feelings hostage to some distant future event. You're allowing yourself to have those feelings now, long before that event happens. And then when you are taking a test, let's say you're going down a spiral of, I know this, but I'm forgetting it, and you're having a tough time taking that test, you can just quickly allow yourself to visualize that moment far into the future, give yourself those feelings. And what I have found helping people with test taking is that allows them to right the ship, and it allows them to get into a better state while they take the test. And lo and behold, their test taking abilities go way up and their test scores go way up. So for me, visualization is a wonderful tool in helping you realize aspects of your life that you want to realize. So it might not be meditation in the strictest sense, but I don't care. For me, it's a very meditative and wonderful thing. And what I like about it is I don't need to have something give me the feelings that I want to feel. I can imagine that I'm there and feel those feelings, and it's also making it more likely that that future thing will actually happen. If I never allow myself to feel the feelings, maybe I get to that future point and have those feelings when I get there, or maybe I don't. But I think if I'm continually investing my attention into visualizing some future event and then feeling those feelings, I'm making that future event more likely, if that makes sense. The final form of meditation I'm going to talk about is before sleep. You are in something called a hypnagogic state. And in this state, you tend to be more creative, and you tend to connect things that might be hard to connect. For example, I didn't know what a hypnagogic state was in college or in grad school, but what I did know is that if I was working on a very difficult problem and I couldn't solve it, one strategy that worked for me 9 times out of 10 is I would work on that problem right before going to bed, and then even the moments when I'm laying down in bed and the lights are out, I would still try to imagine something about that problem that I was confused by. And 9 times out of 10, I would wake up and immediately have the answer. And it was just magical. And what I think was happening is either I was solving these problems in my dreams, or I was potentially solving them in that hypnagogic state before I even fell asleep. I don't really care which of those two it was because I woke up with the answer. This hypnagogic state is a state where you are more creative, and it's a great place to solve problems. So in my case, I was just solving actual homework problems, engineering and science problems before sleep, or problems related to my research. But there's no reason you couldn't think about other things, like maybe you have some relationship issues you want to work on, or maybe you have some interaction at work that you want to kind of figure out and get better at. This is a great time to visit those types of really interesting problems, and this hypnagogic state might give you some extra creativity that gives you a new perspective and allows you to work through that problem. The important thing about this is if you're truly trying to solve some problem, is make sure when you wake up, you give yourself immediate time to work on this problem again. So don't wake up and go and brush your teeth. Don't wake up and go get a pot of coffee. Wake up and immediately give some thought to what you were thinking about before bed and write down answers. Because just like dreams, you think, oh, I'll never forget this dream. It was so vivid, I'll remember it forever. And even 10 minutes later, usually that dream's completely forgotten or mostly forgotten. So similarly, if you're using this hypnagogic state to try to solve problems in your own life, just like a dream, try to think about it right when you wake up. That's the best time to think about these things. Now for some tips. The first tip I'd say is set expectations. If you just learned what basketball was and someone explained to you how to play basketball, you wouldn't expect to start playing basketball at an Olympic level right off the bat. You would expect to play pretty poorly, and then you'd get better and better as you worked on it. But even as you got better, you would need instruction and coaching or watching instructive videos, or you'd need something. So similarly with meditation, I think a lot of people think, oh, once I start meditating, I should immediately get it. They set aside a whole hour and they don't really know what they're doing. And that's a given. You've never tried to direct your attention before. Or if you've meditated quite a bit in the past, and this video is just to get different ideas, let me get to the next one, which is just try it for 2 minutes a day. If you are setting aside a half hour a day to meditate, great, more power to you. And if that's working for you, awesome. Just know that if you're setting aside an hour, it's very easy to put that off. So if you have to do a whole half hour of meditation, there's tons of things that can get in the way of that. A half hour is a pretty big chunk of time to do anything. And if you are setting a daily practice target of half an hour, if you're doing it, great. I don't want to take away from that. But if you set 2 minutes as your target, then each day you can find 2 minutes. And some days you'll be sitting there and you're already started meditating. You've found a nook to sit down in and you're already meditating and 2 minutes is up, but you think, well, I'm already doing this. And for whatever reason, you just keep doing it. That's great. If you do more than 2 minutes, fantastic. But the nice thing about 2 minutes and setting that low bar is that ideally you will get to it every single day. The last form of meditation I talked about right before sleep, that's one you can always dedicate 2 minutes to. There's never an excuse to be like, oh, I don't have 2 minutes before I fall asleep to dedicate to meditating. And persistence is very key for a lot of people with meditation, especially myself. And if you can get yourself to do 2 minutes, you can often get yourself to do more than 2 minutes, which is fantastic. But each day you're doing 2 minutes. And the longer you do it, the more you're going to find out about it and see if it's working for you. And if it is working for you, then increasing to 5 minutes, increasing to 20 minutes, increasing to half an hour, these are all in the realm of possible. So I would say set low expectations. You're not necessarily going to be a Zen Buddhist level meditator right off the bat. And similarly, 2 minutes is setting the bar so low that you're likely to do that every day. If you set 30 minutes as your daily goal, there's a really good chance that if you're capable of doing that for a week or two, fantastic, but then quickly life happens and you find all these reasons and you keep thinking, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And maybe you do it tomorrow, but then you put it off another time and suddenly after a few months you realize I'm not even meditating at all. So the 2 minutes really helps with this. Another tip is anywhere, anytime. I don't quite mean this literally. Obviously you're not going to meditate while you're in the middle of a conversation with somebody. You're not going to meditate while you're driving. But what I do mean is that anywhere, anytime, consider meditating. And you can just make it happen. In each and every moment that we're alive, we can decide where am I going to direct my focus. So in every moment, we're able to redirect our focus if we don't like what we're focused on. And so when I say anywhere, anytime, what I really mean is that you can make any moment into a meditative experience. Let's say that you have just stopped at the grocery store and you're about to walk in and go get groceries. So you're sitting in your car. You can give yourself 30 seconds. You can give yourself a minute to just zone out and collect yourself and literally meditate for 1 minute. And I think finding excuses to meditate and finding excuses to enjoy meditating will really improve your likelihood of meditating. I've heard that if you want to start meditating, you need to create a nook in your home that is specifically geared towards meditating. Wonderful if that works for you. But what I find for a lot of people is then they find a million things to do and the whole day gets away from them and they never found time to get into that nook. So then they're not able to even think about meditation whenever they're out of the home or when something's going on in the home, but then they literally have to go physically to this place to meditate. Now, I'm not taking anything away from that. If you can find a place that you like to meditate, that is wonderful, and by all means meditate there. Just also, in addition to meditating in some space you've carved out specifically for meditation, feel like embracing meditation anywhere. Also, if you meditate in different places, you might find different experiences, different perspectives, different outcomes from your meditation practice. Combine meditation with stretching. Your mind is connected to your body through nerves, and these nerves do 3 main functions. One is they tell your organs what to do. They tell your heart to beat, your lungs to go in and out, your kidneys to do their thing. Your nerves also tell you about pain. So if you prick yourself, then nerves tell you, they tell your mind, oh, you're in pain. And then the third thing that nerves do is they tell your muscles to contract. And when you're stretching, you have this wonderful opportunity to connect how your muscles are feeling and experiencing stretch, to connect that to your mind. And there's nothing wrong with stretching while watching TV. I don't want to take away from that, or stretching while you're having a conversation. That allows you to hold stretches for a longer period. So if that's something you're doing, great. I'm just saying also combining meditation with stretching allows you to deepen this connection between your mind and your body, literally. And there is a lot of science that backs this up, that by stretching while meditating, you are increasing the connectivity between your brain and your muscles. And it's really something that's pretty fun to tune into as well. And I would de-emphasize stretching to really stretch hard and switch that to emphasizing, as you stretch, really feeling and paying attention to what your body's doing and getting away from this mentality, I've got to stretch this thing further. Just drop that when you're meditating. And really, I mean, it's fine to deepen a stretch if that's where your kind of mind and body are wanting to go. That's fantastic. But really trying to get away from that mentality of, oh, I've got to stretch as far as I can in this direction, or that I need to stretch fast, and really just feeling and kind of letting that be a two-way communication street. So my brain is telling my body to stretch, but also my brain is listening to what my body is telling me and responding to that. And so then maybe instead of deepening a stretch one day, you actually go a little bit lighter and let yourself feel it more and shift your hip, or shift your body in some interesting way that allows you to stretch different parts of that muscle or that ligament or tendon. And you're not so focused on just stretching as far as you can or in one direction. You start to understand, how is my body moving? And that understanding is at some deep level in your brain, and it's not necessarily in your conscious mind. So you're helping your body understand how it works better by connecting movements to the brain in this very meditative way. My last tip is, do it even when it's noisy around. A lot of people think, oh, I can only meditate when it's completely calm and there's no sounds and everything's peaceful. Nothing wrong with that. If that's something that you want to do, fantastic. Find a place that's quiet and wonderful. I would challenge you to also try it when things are loud. If you're at a pool at a hotel and there's kids running around and babies crying and loud music, there's nothing wrong with taking that moment to try your meditation practice. And an extra tip on top of this is, if there's a sound that is kind of coming into your mind and distracting you, you can actually do a little trick where you tell yourself that is actually helping you become more relaxed. So for instance, let's say that you hear a police siren every now and then when you're meditating, because you just live in an inner city and a police siren happens. Instead of being like, oh, that police siren is disrupting my meditation, you can say, oh, anytime I hear a police siren, it's helping me become more relaxed. And just doing that, you might feel yourself relax physically, and also hopefully you'll help yourself mentally relax. Or if you're on an airplane and there's a baby on the airplane, babies typically cry when you take off and when you land. And the babies do that just because their ears can't equilibrate the same as ours, and so that hurts them, and they'll typically stop crying once they get bottle fed or whatever. But you can use that baby crying as a trigger to tell yourself, oh, this crying baby is helping me relax. And believe it. There's nothing that says, oh, baby crying has to bother me. You can just make up your own story and decide, actually, this baby crying is helping me relax. It means there's a baby on board. How awesome is that? So you can make up really any story to tell yourself and just try different things. Like I said at the start of this video, your own journey, your own meditation journey will be unique to you. Just like your own exercise journey is unique to you, your own meditation journey will be unique to you. If you try any of these meditation types or these tips I've given, Or if you have any feedback that you'd like to provide for all the rest of the viewers, please leave a comment below. And as always, liking and subscribing really helps me build this channel. Thank you very much.